Hello everyone. It's James again. And today I want to do a video talking about an article I just read. I will include a link for it in the description box below. And the writer's name appears to be Lindsay Dodgson. And this article is entitled, Why Psychopaths Cannot Love Their Own Children, according to a psychologist. Now in the article. Much like us in the narcissistic abuse community, they both reference narcissists and psychopaths interchangeably. Though there are some differences on how they became what they became. At least in some people's eyes out there. As there's still a lot of study and still a lot that is being learned about such disorders. But you will find this article very interesting. Because it details pretty much word for word what we talk about here and many other channels that talk about narcissistic abuse. And what it's like to grow up in a narcissistically abusive home. There was one point I did disagree with, however. And I will get to that in a moment. But first off, it went into the golden child and scapegoat. And it mentions something that many have mentioned before. In the long run, the golden child gets the shorter end of the stick. Because, though the golden child thinks they are getting love in return for their accepting the situation and doing as the narcissist pleases, where the scapegoat questions and sees what's going on, and sadly is abused and made to be the blame for everything that goes on in the family home. But at the end of the day, the scapegoat has a better chance getting out of the family home and doing the self-work needed to have a more healthy and well-adjusted life. Now, here's where I disagree with what was written in the article. They mention even though this dynamic exists, that it's a small minority amount where the child of a psychopath or narcissist becomes a monster. Such as the theory. A monster creating a monster. And the reasoning is the narcissist parent hates for their children to grow up. So they do whatever they have to do to make sure they pretty much stunt the emotional and mental growth of their children so they can control them better. Now be that as it may. The golden child in majority of the cases, not the minority, have the problem and develop the problem of lack of empathy for others. Here's what happens in this stunting process. The narcissist parent or parents will sabotage relationships and friendships, etc. As mentioned in this article. But what's not mentioned by doing so? This child oftentimes finds themselves in even more emotionally difficult situations with their young peers. Which further puts them in a frame of mind where they only learn empathy for themselves and not how to connect with others. And the longer this goes on, the more you cement the character of this golden child into being a full-on narcissist. Now can the parents still control this golden child well through their old age and up until death? And even after death based on the programming they put in the golden child's head? Yes. For sure. That being said, their interactions of manipulation, and lying, and hurting others in their life without feeling bad, will become the norm. Just like their narcissist parent. So yes. These monsters create codependents that sadly end up getting hurt again by other narcissists. As mentioned in this article. But the golden child, they are just a narcissist in training. And end up taking the place of their narcissist parent. Acting just like. And being just like. And in some cases worse than the narcissist parent that so-called raised them. Now it did mention something called siege response that might happen to a child that's being brought up in such a home as a way to protect themselves. By becoming more walled off. By becoming manipulative, etc. as a way to survive basically. Simply put, they are losing their empathy for others. They only have it for themselves. And this goes back to the monster creating the monster. Now most scapegoats do learn many toxic traits of the narcissist. Many that stay with us well through our adult years. Until we are able to identify the problem and do the self-work to make a positive change. But. There is a but. Most of not all of the scapegoats I've talked to and met. Despite the problems they went through. These people still. They still had a high amount of empathy for others. They weren't the manipulative types at all. Yes, were there other things there like oversharing and doing and saying things at incorrect times, much like our narcissist parent or parents? Yes. But the ones I see that go down that dark place of learning manipulation skills and losing empathy and connections for others is usually the golden child. And it's usually the golden child that ends up being a narcissist or psychopath, depending on a lot of other factors. Now, this isn't to discount the fact the scapegoat won't wall themselves off. Yes. Many of us do and have. But the other things described, I think, are more traits the golden child would share than the scapegoat. Not impossible though for the scapegoat to have some of these things. Because the water can get kind of murky on these topics and each case can be a bit different. But as a whole, these are more common traits for the golden child when it's in regards to lack of empathy and manipulation. However, walling one off for self-protection, yes, that would be more of a trait for the scapegoat. The article did mention one thing that hasn't been talked about much in the narcissistic abuse community. It's the term lost child. And I think this is for those that grew up in the bigger homes with several children. And this is the child that gets lost in the shuffle and often neglected or ignored. Now, here's what I think about that. I think it's very possible. If the child is aware enough, like us scapegoats, something is going on. And the home is big enough. It's possible. I'm not sure. But it's possible these lost children are playing small to stay out of the way. And let all the drama unfold with everyone else. If any of you grew up in a really big home and you were the lost child, I'm interested to hear your experiences and if I'm right about my thoughts on this. That being said, overall the article was very interesting. It's very good to see that articles are being written on this subject more, getting people to think about these problems. You see, we have these crazy news stories happening all the time with horrible demon parents doing horrible things to their children. Or so-called people in general doing horrible things to innocent people just minding their own business. And it makes you stop and think, what's going on in their head? And this is where information like this is important. In the article it mentions that when you grow up in a well-adjusted home, your parents are looking out for your best interests, encouraging you, and teaching you how the world works so you have the best shot at life. But the narcissist parent, they do the exact opposite. They do everything they can to screw up your worldview, and how you see things, and your ability to effectively grow up to become successful. And just to throw my own 2 cents in there, this is done so you will be a lifelong piece of supply for the narcissist to suck off of. Because the more well-adjusted and successful you become, the more you will have a chance to leave and get away from such a person. Thus they will lose their supply. But with all that being said, those that grow up in a well-adjusted home might not know how deep the rabbit hole goes, because they were never exposed to such evil and darkness. So when they see some monster of a person do something horrible in the news, it almost doesn't seem real. But to us, the narcissistic abuse survivor, it's very real. We know exactly the evil that drives these demons to do what they do, because we were on the receiving end of this madness and evil. So the more articles like this are written, talked about, and looked into very seriously, the more new people that have no idea such a condition exists can actually see the dark side of life, and what's really going on in the world, and in these homes that do, yes, indeed create monsters. Monsters that roam our streets, schools, and homes, hurting and destroying nearly everything and everyone they come into contact with. I believe the numbers are way higher as far as frequency, way higher than reported. But when we are dealing with disorders that people won't freely admit to, how can you really get an accurate count? That being said, the word is getting out. More people that don't know about this problem will know. And more people that grew up in such a home will know they aren't alone. That there are millions if not billions of survivors in every country around the world. And that's why I said my goal for this channel to start with is 200,000 subscribers. Because I want to reach as many people as I can with this information, so they can have the same chance I and you had. And that's to wake up from our long sleep to what happened in our lives. And so they can begin the self-work to a better life and healing. So do me a favor. Go check out the article. And tell me what you think. I would like to know. Also, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe if you would like. And those that have already subscribed, I humbly thank you. Also, don't forget to click the bell to know each and every time I upload a video. And last but not least, don't forget to share. Sharing is the main thing. You just don't know who you are saving when you share. All it takes is for one person to hear a nugget of information in one video and the door is opened. And before you know it, they are on a quest for self-betterment. Well, that's all I have for now. Keep on eating from the tree of life. Keep praying for wisdom and strength. And until next time, bye for now. And be good to yourself.